Oh man, it's a no-brainer for me to play. Like I feel like everything that I've poured into this team, everything that this team has poured into me, like it would be very hypocritical of me not to play. And it's just the love that I have for this place and the love that I have for the game of football. If I have another opportunity to play this game, I'm definitely going to take advantage of it. So
How much?
playing in this game is a no-brainer for me.
Sorry. How much does 10 wins matter?
It means a lot. There's a lot of goals that we had set out in front of us before this year took place, and obviously we can't achieve most of those goals now. But one of the goals that is left to achieve is reaching 10 wins. So that's at the forefront of our minds right now, and going out to Tampa and getting a W.
Have you made a decision about going to the next level, about what next year looks like for you?
I haven't yet. I'm just focused on going down to Tampa and getting a victory.
Obviously very different Michigan team than last year, especially with the offense. But just how much is that game, the result last year, going to weigh on you?
It doesn't weigh on me too much. It's just it helps getting to know who some of those players are. Like as you mentioned, a lot of the players opted out, but a good amount of them are still playing as well. So having some type of familiarity with them, with their system, with the culture of that team, they're a great team. They're well coached, and very excited to play against them in Tampa.
Just what have you seen from Michigan's defensive front?
Great technique, same stuff I saw last year. They're very well coached up. They're going to be where they're supposed to be, and they're a bunch of playmakers up front. So this is a game that you come to Alabama for to play against great defensive lines like that.
How special has this season been to you, especially this one year last year, your MVP, captain, first year with the board? How has this season been special?
It's been very special because all those things that you've named, to be able to come to the University of Alabama and be a captain is a huge honor, especially when you look at some of the previous captains. To be seen as MVP by my teammates, that's a huge honor as well. And just to be a part of the transition from Coach Saban to Coach DeBoer. So um, I've I've always really focused on like what will my legacy be when I leave the University of Alabama, and I felt like some of the things I've done has definitely added to my legacy. And of course, there are more things I would like to add to my legacy, but it's been very special, and I wouldn't change anything that happened this year for anything because it's going to make me who I am as a man in the future, and my teammates as well. So I'm very blessed for all the ups and downs that we've had this season.
Just going off of that, what's your favorite moment as a member of this team?
Favorite moment as a member of this team, definitely after Auburn. The locker room after Auburn, obviously, you get to beat Auburn. That's a great feeling, especially when they were talking a lot of junk and talking about how they were never going to lose to Alabama. So that was a great feeling. But just to look around the locker room and just to hug your brother, and really you just have a different type of love for everybody in that room because everybody in that room came or stayed when it was hard to. So just love and respect for everybody in that room, and to make it to the end of the season and not have the result that we want, but have that love and that relationship with everybody in that room. That was special. I'll never forget that locker room feeling after that game.
When you look at, I guess, the makeup of the offensive line room, and this time kind of to not only develop the room for the ReliaQuest Bowl, but ahead of 2025. I guess what do you see, whether from the guys that may have not, whether it's younger guys, whether it's incoming freshmen, like what do you see in terms of just the future of the Alabama offensive line? Is it bright? Like,
No, yeah, the future of the Alabama offensive line is very bright, and that's really just due to experience. A lot of guys who hadn't played before this year have gotten some reps, whether it was just as simple as somebody's helmet popping off and guys getting in-game reps. Like, there's no substitute for in-game reps. And when people sit home on Twitter and talk about, oh, that guy sucks, they've never played a college football snap before, and they don't understand what it really takes. So for some of these younger guys to get reps and to learn what it takes and get on-the-job experience, there's no substitute for that. So the future of this offensive line is very promising.
There's a guy that maybe we don't see, or the public doesn't see that is like, yeah, this guy's going to be a dude in 2025.
A bunch. I mean, some guys that you probably haven't seen yet, but that you will see. I think Will Conformi, he's grown a lot this year. He had a rough start, but as the season went on, he's grown a lot. He's gotten better. He's really focused, and he still has a long way to go. But he's a guy that I could see being a big part of the offensive line next year. Will Sanders, another young guy. He's very physically gifted. Just as he gains confidence, as he gains experience, I'm very excited to see how he'll continue to progress. Joe Ayanada, Casey Poe, a lot of the young guys in the room that have a lot of potential. And I'm very excited to see all the young guys like Rock and everybody in that room just grow and take advantage of the opportunity that they're going to have next year.
Tyler, I realize that Freddie Roach doesn't coach you and didn't recruit you necessarily, but what does he mean to essentially this team and this roster in terms of the relationships he has?
Coach Roach, he means a lot to this team and this roster just because he's one of us. Coach Roach played here, and a lot of guys, I'm not sure if a lot of guys know that, but he knows what it means to be an Alabama football player, and just his insight is different. You can tell, like, he's one of us. So just having him around means a lot to everybody.
Tyler, you're often described as an old school player in a new world of college football. Where does that come from, and do you have a message to the new era of transfer portal and opt-outs and things like that? What is your take on it?
So to answer that first question, I watched A Football Life a lot growing up. So one of the first ones I ever watched was Deacon Jones. So Deacon Jones was always known for the head slap and just his brand of football. And then I'm a big Steelers fan, so I used to watch a lot of old YouTube videos, a lot of old documentaries with the steel curtain. So, and then just even watching the Steelers growing up, like just watching Troy Polamalu, he's my favorite football player of all time. Just seeing how he was a heat-seeking missile, James Harrison, I just all those great Steelers defenses. And then when we played the Ravens, you got to see Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, and then when we played the Bengals, you got to see Vontaze Burfict. So just a lot of physicality, just watching a lot of AFC North football. So that's where that comes from. And then my message to can you ask that second question again? I'm sorry.
What's your take on what's going on right now in college football as someone who's kind of viewed as old school? What would you say to those athletes that might make the decision to enter the transfer portal? What's the value in staying put or hitting the road?
Every situation is unique. You just have to really make sure that you're making the decision that you're making for the right decisions, and not just based off financial benefit, but like seeing if you're going to develop there, seeing if the coach that you're going to be playing for is going to develop you, seeing if you're going to be able to develop there as a man, seeing if your credits transfer over. A lot of people don't think about that. I just graduated this past weekend, and just being able to do that, like nobody's ever going to be able to take my degree away from me. So making sure your credits transfer over, making sure that level of education that you wanted at your initial school is going to meet up to it at your next school. So just make sure that you're making the decisions for the right reasons, and not just like, oh man, my coach doesn't like me, or I'm not going to play here. Maybe you're not playing for a reason. Maybe you just need to get better. So you need to really self-reflect before you make essentially a life-altering decision so quickly.
How familiar are you with Michael Carroll's game, just being an IMG guy?
I've seen a few clips of his, and I love the way he plays, and all the coaches at IMG, they tell me about how physical and how dominant he is, and I'm very excited to see if it translates here.
You kind of have that pipeline. Of IMG. Have you talked? I'm sure you probably talked with him at a recruiting visit. Have you kind of talked with him about continuing that IMG offensive line pipeline to Alabama?
Oh, of course, I definitely have, and just coming from IMG, coming from IMG to being here is looking back at it. IMG is really Alabama Junior. And what I mean by that, you have everything that you need to succeed. You just have to take advantage of the resource that you have there, and just I definitely wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for IMG Academy. So to see guys take that route, leaving their hometown at such a young age to better themselves, I have tons of respect for guys who make that decision, and even more respect for guys who make the decision to come here after IMG as well. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to keeping that pipeline going.
Tyler, you keep saying the word legendary. How are you going to keep that legacy with you? Your advice to the new guys coming into this new factor, and even some of the guys that are going to be taking this veteran and leadership spot next year?
I'm just giving them the same message that I've been given by some of the leaders that came before me. Like a piece of advice that I would take with me for the rest of my life was given to me by Will Anderson. He said, "Just take it one day at a time." And as simple as that may seem, like it'll change your whole mindset, because when you first get to Alabama, they sit you down and they're like, okay, we're about to go into workouts. After that, you got fourth quarter. After that, you got spring ball. Then you get 2.5 weeks off for May. Then you come back for July workouts. Then you got fall camp. After that, you got the season. And then it just keeps going and going and going and going until you leave. And that seems like a lot when you get there as a freshman. But if you really break it down to like, okay, let me make sure I'm on time for class tomorrow. Let me make sure I win and complete tomorrow. Let me make sure I dominate tomorrow, so I can have a better day after tomorrow. Let me dominate today so I can have a great tomorrow. That's what I meant to say. But just taking everything one day at a time. Like, let me make sure I win today. Let me make sure I take care of everything today. Tomorrow will end up better. So just passing on little pieces of advice like that.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks. Y'all have a good one.